Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know, 'cause times change, I know.
On some days he's more than humble. On some days he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. On some days he's more than humble. On some days he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know across the land. Together we go, hand in hand we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show.
What up, though? Oh, what up, Twitch? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy, your favorite sidekick to your favorite cat on the internet, Stampy. What up, Poodlehawk? What up, engineer? Why do people think the USA can support everyone in the world? Who thinks that? Exactly. Not sure what you're referring to. Morning, Silverlight. Good morning, good morning. Sorry, I'm a terrible disappointment to you all. I hit the snooze button a couple of times too often. And then I found out that I had forgotten to put coffee grounds in the coffee maker. So, and I had also set the pot not quite into its proper location. So I woke up and I went to get my coffee and I had a basket full of hot water. So I had to redo the process. Yeah, it is the downside to having pets, engineer, that at some point in time you will, unless they're a tortoise or a parrot or some other long-lived entity, that they will go to a place that you cannot follow. Oh, hey, chunky boy. Yeah, tell him. Yeah, well, there's that. What up, Watson? All right. I don't have anything clever to say. I will be back later today for the next episode. I'm not leaving now. But I will be back later today. At about 6:00 for the evening show. So you're getting two shows today, if that is of interest to you. I say what up, Hydran, or just think it. What up, Hydran? Yeah, Mats is a thing. Especially like certain chubby cats can't groom themselves properly anymore and need more assistance. And such is life. All right. What up, Textillion? So without further ado, let's get into it. This isn't AI, it's even weirder. Wilder. One of the two. Squishy physics that learn to move. New 2-minute papers. Oop.
This is a new squishy simulation technique, and it's a bit like teaching a pile of jello how to win an Olympic gold medal in gymnastics.
Remember the triple tuck and the dismount.
Yes. So, what if a desk lamp could learn gymnastics? You know, jump, twist, stick the landing, all with real physics. That is really hard. Why? Well, you see, most characters you meet in video games have a bone and joint structure which determines how they can move around. But jellyfish, worms, or a stress ball don't have skeletons. They move by squishing, stretching, and contracting their own soft bodies. To animate that, you need to figure out a series of muscle contractions and relaxations that make physical sense. Simulating that is brutally hard. Thousands of interacting parts, collisions, friction, and no neat closed-form equations. So much so that old gradient descent-based methods with the blue and orange lines fail to launch this ball into the hoop. Now, hold on to your papers, fellow scholars, because this new method can do it every single time. And the results are wild. Starfish can now crawl realistically. Gummy caterpillars wriggle forward.
For those of you keeping up on the saga of me walking around, I broke my previous record was 22,500 and some odd steps. Yesterday I broke that 24,074 steps. And I burned 3,250 calories. I am in a calorie deficit intentionally, like to, you know, kind of shed some streamer fat, so to speak. But yeah, that's why the this morning was kind of rough.
With incredible realism. Lamps are doing backflips on trampolines. Even chess pieces can hop around across the board. Or, if you are in a library, you can also have a little personal butler. I absolutely love this one. Amazing. This level of control was simply not possible with older first-order methods like gradient descent. But that's not even the best part. I'll show that to you in a moment. So, how is all this insanity even possible? And how long does it take to compute? Dear fellow scholars, this is 2-minute papers with Dr. Károly Zsolnai Fehér. Dr. Carol, imagine you are hiking in fog. Gradient descent is feeling the local slope with your boots and taking cautious steps. But Newton's method is different. It not only feels the slope, it also senses how the ground curves. So, instead of stepping, it can leap to the right spot much quicker. The trick here is, how do we measure that curvature quickly and accurately in a challenging soft body world with contacts and friction? And in this paper, scientists fuse two superpowers together: automatic differentiation for precise slopes and a clever complex numbers probe that sneaks a microscopic step into an imaginary direction to read curvature cleanly. Crazy mad science. I love it. They call it mixed second-order differentiation, which gives you the information needed for true Newton updates. So now, the optimizer has a map and a compass, not just a feeling underfoot. And now, here is the best part, my favorite experiment. Oh yes, it is not hard to see that soon even computer games based on this kind of physics will be possible. Man, I cannot wait to see and play that. But based on my calculations, this still takes quite a while to compute. 10 to 25 minutes for 1 second of movement are typical. So not real time yet, but absolutely within reach for movies, and 2 more papers down the line, probably video games. And don't forget, this makes the impossible now possible. Now we only need to make it faster for games. And man, I cannot wait to see and play that. And here is the other best part. The paper is not from Disney, so I can even talk about it. And with this amazing paper, we are witnessing the birth of a new kind of animation, where soft, squishy worlds are no longer puppeteered, but are truly moving realistically. This isn't just eye candy, it's a glimpse of creatures that move.
Yeah, based on how well Sackboy's little adventure games, I can't remember the name, went over. The idea of playing like some kind of squishy puzzle solving platformer, I feel like that is something that would do well, right? Like where you have to use your squishy little body and squishy little other bodies. The World of Goo kind of gave you a squishy body puzzle solver kind of game.
With the richness of real life. Absolutely brilliant. What a time to be alive! And once again, a paper that almost nobody is talking about. You can likely only hear about it here on 2-minute papers. So please don't forget to like and leave a kind comment so YouTube starts recommending this kind of content, because otherwise, unfortunately, it does not do that. We need new tools for the era of LLMs, and Weights and Biases now has Weave, a lightweight toolkit to confidently iterate on LLM applications. Use traces to debug how data flows through each step of your app, and use evaluations to measure your progress.
Okay, homie's gonna get his ad read in. And next up, new Fireship talking about the Nano Banana.
A few days ago, image editing changed forever. Google released Gemini Flash 2.5 image, coincidentally with the same nickname my ex-girlfriend gave me, Nano Banana. That has everyone buying puts on Adobe, because Photoshop is officially dead. Instead of learning how to use all these antique tools, you can now just prompt Nano Banana for changes, and it's able to deliver any photo alterations you can imagine. And most importantly, while maintaining the consistency of the original image. If you're an animator or graphic designer, this can unlock massive productivity gains. Like if you wanted to steal some Meat Canyon art and make it do something else, you can now accomplish that with a single prompt. No talent necessary. Google is finally back to its roots building cool stuff, and Flash 2.5 is a tool that makes Stable Diffusion look like Microsoft Paint. In today's video, we'll take a look at all of its capabilities and find out if our Adobe puts will actually print. It is August 29th, 2025, and you're watching the Code Report. Not only is Nano Banana an exceptional image model that's already at the top of the LM Arena leaderboard, but it's also extremely fast and affordable, costing only 3.9 cents per image via the API. And hypothetically, Google has also trained an even more powerful Grande Banana, but it's unlikely.
Honestly, engineer, I'm not sure exactly what Adobe is doing to make money now. Like, what is it that Adobe actually brings to the table at this point in time? Right? They're a bunch of features all in one place, maybe. But they're asking a lot for those features. And there is that whole corporate license thing. I think that Adobe has really turned its attention to enterprise. Yeah, and I think that's another example of that. Adobe is worried about enterprise and doesn't care about consumers anymore, and hasn't for quite some time.
The common man will ever get access to it. The upgrade that most people are talking about, though, is character consistency. If you start with an image of a person or pet, for example, the model can blend it with a different image or make minor changes to it without noticeably altering the original character. Or multiple characters and objects like this guy did by blending 13 different images together. That means if you want a LinkedIn headshot of yourself wearing a nice suit, but can't afford to buy an actual suit, Nano Banana has you covered. In addition, if you work for the shadow government, it can be used to implement Mandela effects effects, like removing the cornucopia from the Fruit of the Loom logo. That's cool, but if you're a wannabe game developer, one of the main showstoppers is the insane amount of time it takes to build up a collection of good-looking assets for all your characters and animations. Well, now, if you start with a base character, you can prompt all the different positions required for an animation. Or better yet, just have Gemini generate an entire sprite for you with all of them in a single prompt. Keep in mind though, if you go this route, you'll have to disclose any AI assets used when you publish on Steam. And you can't lie about it because anything generated with Google has an invisible watermark called Synth ID. What's kind of crazy about this model though, is that it also has an understanding of the real world. Like if you point to a spot on Google Maps and ask what a person would see there, it can generate a realistic photo. Or if you're a visual learner, you can sketch with it step by step. Like you could use the sketch tool to map out your AWS infrastructure. It's also pretty decent at handling text, so you can easily turn your images into lame Instagram ads or memes. But it's still not perfect, so now let's talk about the bad stuff. As you can see in my ad here, it has a tendency to add extra characters to certain words. In addition, I found that it often didn't follow my prompt exactly and just kind of did its own thing. Or in many cases, it just ignored the prompt and did nothing at all. And I think even the character consistency is a bit overhyped. I tried it on a bunch of different images of real humans, and it still has that obvious AI uncanny valley look to it. And finally, as expected as a Google product, it's highly censored. Trying to generate anything that's not safe for work is not going to happen. But the best way to get the most out of these AI tools is to learn how they work under the hood. And you can do that for free with Brilliant, the sponsor of today's video. Their How AI teaches you how to build a functioning language model from scratch and lets you experiment with things like vectors,
so
expressions and images.
Some of you may be aware of the creator There I Ruined It, who creates music videos,
scan the QR code on screen to get 20% off their premium annual subscription, which gives you unlimited daily access to everything on Brilliant. This has been the code.
For those of you who don't know, let's give you an example.
Almost heaven, West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is older than the trees. Mountains blowing like a breeze. Oh, Lord, yeah. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country roads, yeah.
I find them fantastic. I think they're very talented at what they do, and it takes a lot of creativity to see how you could weave two different songs together. Well, my man gave a TED Talk.
Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Disagree, engineer. Like, you cannot you cannot ruin live music. If you like live music still exists. The closest thing that ever came to ruining live music was COVID, right? But as far as, like, you know, I am not particularly a fan of live music. I like music. I like MP3s. I like Wave. I like headphones, right? To where the sound of the band exists somewhere like in the back of my brain, you know, because if you try to centralize the location of the music when you're listening to it, it exists in this imaginary space, and you can hear it because of how it comes in. And advances in like things like Dolby Atmos and other like forms of reproduction where sounds happen in different spaces around you, the shit is amazing. What about live music do people like? Seems weird to me. It's different from recorded. I think that, like, if I would say, what up, Beef? If I had to guess, right? Not experiencing that thing myself. One thing that people like about live music is the energy of the crowd, right? They like being surrounded by other people all engaged in the same thing, and they're usually having an experience together but separately, right? Because it's your little group and their little group and another little group and all these little groups together, and you're all watching this band play, and you're all doing something separately together, right? Which is a thing. And then the other thing is studio tracks. You don't really know how many takes it took, and then they chose the best stuff, right? They got the best of it all when they did the studio track. But when you watch something live, it's happening one take right in front of you. And that's another thing I think that people enjoy about live music. And there's also something to be said for a lack of perfection that you get with, like, the studio track. In the same way that people like vinyl, the clicks and pops and other noises that vinyl makes, people like that sound and like the randomness of a piece of dust that happens to land in a particular groove and add something or whatnot to the experience. That's what I would guess. What up, Pharaoh? I would love, I like the idea that Twitch lets you pin comments, but I need to pin 2 comments for the entire impact of that. I love that, Heinz. Made it, right? The fact that you typoed the N instead of the M, but then fixed it on the next stage. Like, it is... Again, I have a very broad view of what makes art, and to me, that is one of it. That's what it was. It was exactly the thing that we were talking about in a very natural, very human, very, like, just regular way. And it was, it's one Textilian, they're Canadian, right? What up, Michael? Live music is a lot like going out to eat at a restaurant. You don't need to do it to enjoy the core thing, music or food, but the experience itself is unique. For many people, that added atmosphere and social element enhances the overall enjoyment. Yes, 100%. Up next is somebody talking about AI arts and what happens when AI art is good. Sousa was American. Sousa was the American for his time. So if that's what you're referring to, then yes.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
A couple of days ago, I stumbled across a video on TikTok that started like this.
How bad's the pain from 1 to 10?
10.
Good.
It's a good hook. It's got sort of an analog horror vibe, and it stuck with me. So much so that I actually scrolled past and then I returned. I wanted to know more.
I think this one's good to go. What do you say?
This is an episode of the TikTok series Angel Engine, an analog horror series about an angel who descends from heaven to come to the earth, who's captured and whose energy is harnessed to power the world, ushering in an era of prosperity. And here's the thing, it's AI. Not the writing, not the memorable part, but the voices and art isn't made by the human hand, it's generated. As AI continues to sweep through industries, decimating white-collar entry-level jobs everywhere, it seems like every group is waiting with bated breath, asking, well, they can't possibly replace me, can they?
Yes, they can.
It was announced a couple of weeks ago that Amazon was investing in a studio dedicated to making AI TV and movies. And as the film and television industry still hasn't fully recovered from the strike, and more voice acting and graphic design jobs are slowly being outsourced to AI, there's been at least one recurring saving grace. Well, it can't make anything good.
Bye-bye.
If you see her walking alone at night, don't stop. Don't speak. Just run. She is Rokurakubi.
I mean, it's clearly just a lot of garbage, like a whole lot of nothing. But as I watched Angel Engine, I began to ask myself a question for the first time. What if it figures out how to make something that's not completely terrible? What will happen when AI art is good? There's clearly no AI Citizen Kane yet. If you look up best AI art, basically everything that comes up is just advertisements for products that create AI art. As much as I've enjoyed Angel Engine, while the art is AI generated, the actual story is written and produced by an account called Unearthly Guy, presumably a human. But he got his start in the game by producing lots and lots of AI content. Stuff like what your favorite character would look like as Studio Ghibli art. The sort of stuff that if you scroll long enough, eventually you'll stumble upon. Ever so slowly, AI content is beginning to creep into our lives. A couple of weeks ago, a bunch of people got tricked by that video of a bunch of bunnies jumping on a trampoline. And in a way that doesn't seem that bad. It's not like everything else the average person scrolls through is such high caliber. Take the environmental concerns away, and is this video of a lady jumping into a pool really that much worse than all the other crap we consume every day? Videos of bottles rolling down the stairs, and guess which one of us is the drummer? Or these couples shooting each other with Nerf guns? Or did Baby Gronk riz up Livy Dune? I don't think there's any depth to an AI kitten skydiving, but is there any depth to this?
Fake bowling ball. Real bowling ball.
These AI videos feel like, to me, less of a new thing and more of an extension.
I don't know where we're going, and I don't know where we're going to end up, but I appreciate the fact that they are doing a apples to apples comparison between AI slop and human slop. Like they at least appear to be approaching this concept fairly.
Of a phenomenon that's been on the rise for the last 2 decades.
We're not doing gibberish. Twitch. All by myself. Don't wanna be all by my... Whoa, that sucked. One second. One moment, please. Please stand by. Your call will be answered in the order in which it was received.
Sorry about this. I know it's a bit silly. Just a moment. Just a moment.
See, there's just no rhyme nor reason.
There was a bunch of nothing, gibberish. Flip-flobical, flip-tobological, flip-snobicals. It was a bunch of gibberish, bro. There was a bunch of nothing, gibberish. Flip-flobical, flip-tobological, flip-snobicals. It was a bunch of gibberish, bro.
It's another one that fails a lot. Those work. This failed recently.
Alas, I have become too weak from the technology, and I cannot even hold it. And now I have the plague.
Okay. So I may have fixed it. It's been a minute since I logged into Triggerfire, which is the underlying platform that runs the clips. It's Twitch's alerts, and then Triggerfire is the videos. So hopefully we fixed it. Yay! What?
These AI videos feel like, to me, less of a new thing and more of an extension of a phenomenon that's been on the rise for the last 2 decades. We as humans are consuming more and more entertainment and less art. 10 years ago, if I was bored or lazy, I would watch an episode of a
Entertainment is art. Not all art is good because art is subjective. So everyone's perception of what is good art is going to be different, right? Like, again, to me, Eins's statement, it's the perfection of imperfection, that's art, and it was unintentional art. But another person is going to look at that and say it's not art, for many whatever reasons that they have. Some of the human slop is meant to be comedy, right? Some of the, like, I know, what was the creator's intent, right, behind what they're putting together? In the Google Terms of Service, it says if you post gibberish to Gmail, you can lose access to it. I assume that gives the company the ability to complain about just about anything. Yes. Flip snobigle, flip topolobicles.
TV show or like read a comic or something, and now I find myself consuming the oh-so-dreaded content. And while you and me both still watch good TV shows and movies and read good books, the ratio of time we spend consuming pure entertainment is gaining on art. And it's because the Venn diagram of art and entertainment is growing increasingly distant.
Is it?
For a very long time, most of the entertainment that people...
Again, I am just always amazed when these young people get out here on the internet and give me the back in my day, we made good art, and now it's becoming entertainment and content, and it's bad, and you should feel bad.
Consumed was on some level art. While maybe you aren't going to be profoundly moved by a B-movie horror flick or an episode of All in the Family or Archie comics, each of those was the product of hundreds of hours of deliberate choices and decisions. Even if they were bad, they all represented a specific worldview, a specific point of view.
Okay, so we're doing it takes a lot of time to make art, and if it doesn't take a lot of time, it's not art. Is our standard, which I dispute heavily.
Even the garbage back then would at least have the decency to be embarrassed that it was garbage and try and defend its quality. So
wrong. Wrong. What up, Stellar Wigman?
Why the change? What happened? Before the algorithm era, distribution was a hugely expensive and time-consuming process. Whether it was getting what you made on TV or getting published in a magazine, it involved logistics and transport and convincing gatekeepers to give you a shot. And if you were going to invest money and time in something, then you were incentivized to make it good because you didn't have infinite chances. But the almighty algorithm has essentially made the price of distribution...
Wrong. Wrong. The entire this is an example of not understanding licensing as a vehicle, right? Because it's not the algorithm, because before we had the algorithm, we had licensing. And if you license something like, why have there been so many terrible Fantastic Four movies? What up, Hooligan Grundy? Is because once a company gets access to a license, they want to continue to hold on to that license so that they can get a share of any merchandise and anything else that comes of it. So you would put together a movie and you wouldn't care as the license holder if it was good or not. You would only care that something got made so that you satisfied the terms of the licensing agreement. And under those conditions, you continue to make your money. The more resources you have, the more opportunities to fail. True. This is why digital cameras are bad. You used to have to debate whether to take the photo because of the cost in time or money to see the result. Kappa. True. They have to use it to keep it too, which reduces the quality. Yeah, they have to put out something. So they're less concerned about putting out art and they're more concerned with putting out something, right? And then it will go through a variety of different focus groups to, to see like what is the most appealing, right? Broad appeal. And you can argue that broad appeal reduces the quality of the art because as opposed to being subjective, you're trying to turn something relatively artistic into something that is objective, right? Yeah, and that's another thing, Hydrogen. We're only talking about the bad licensed products that get made and released, not just the ones that get made and shoved into a vault somewhere because it satisfied the thing. All those Jorbs at Kodak and Rochester have been lost. Yeah. Rip Batwoman. Exactly. And there was another one. Can't remember. But yeah.
So low that it's essentially free. You don't even have to build a fan base. Your stuff will just be shown to people, which,
Coyote versus Acme. Though I recently saw something that it might actually make it out. And so I still have hope for the Batwoman movie. What up, Brosno? Ultimately, the issue is humans not understanding moderation is important. Always about excess and going too far too fast till they have to calm down, moderate things, and enjoy society. To an extent, there is an argument that you need people who are unable to or unwilling to moderate in order to move culture such as it is forward, right? Like, again, Frank Zappa, not a fan of his music, love the fact that Frank existed, right? Like, I can't listen to Frank Zappa, generally speaking. But the fact that he existed moved the culture forward in a direction, right? So,
has its advantages. Thank you to the algorithm for, all of this. So now everyone is making stuff all day, every day. And if you can make hundreds of hours of content on your phone for free, the algorithm incentivizes you to do just that. And the price of that is that we've become inundated with content that lacks complexity, care, or meaning. It's not like things like America's...
If you say so, boss. Focus group is the result of capitalism. It's still art being produced, but the primary goal is the audience rather than the art itself. Yes. If it weren't for Zappa, where would we get dental floss?
Funniest home videos didn't used to exist. But even then, the videos were curated and there were jokes in between and there was a competition format. There was no avenue to watch Hot Knife versus Random Object, and now there is. And people are watching a lot.
And what's wrong with that? You got to meet Asianometry? That's very cool. Like, maybe you like watching Hot Knife through Random Object. Right? Like there's a curiosity being satisfied by Hot Knife through Random Object, or by hydraulic press versus Random Object, or that fucking metal crunching gear thing that they put anything in and it absolutely devours it and turns it to fucking shreds. Maybe Pharaoh. My hope is that there's some complex, nuanced thing where after a certain amount of time that it will be available through some means, right? I mean, fuck. As I said before on many previous occasions, I'm gonna live forever. So all I have to do is wait out the copyright and wait for Batwoman to join the public domain, and I'll watch it then. I think it's the quantity of these kinds of videos we are consuming that lies at the heart of any issues. Quantity is a concern, right? But like, who is anyone to tell anyone anything about the quantity of what they consume, right? Like, find me a fantastic piece of like TV media, right? Like something that has a really solid fandom and was really well done. Like Deep Space Nine, I think, is something that there's satisfies those, even if you don't necessarily feel that way about all the things. And people will rewatch their favorite series many, many times, right? Like they'll just The Expanse, right? Like people will rewatch the thing. There's a TV show and a movie called The Last Kingdom on Netflix, and I used to watch I watched the first season, and then when the second season came out, I watched the first season and then the second season, third season, first, second, and third, etc., all the way through. And then I watched them all, and then the movie, which wrapped the whole story together, which I appreciated that I got like an ending. Should I not have done that? Yeah, and as Silverlight, I was watching it at the same time I was watching Vikings because they happened in like, they were like different points of view of the same relative historical events. Obviously liberties are taken. So Expanse was so good. Can you imagine having Amazon money and not doing another 3 seasons of The Expanse? I cannot. I would have beat that thing into the ground. I would have done every single book. What up, Old Lobster? I would have done every single book, and I would have, I would have tried to spin it off into new fucking thing. I love The Expanse. I thought it was phenomenal. I helped kickstart there's a comic book series that happens post the end of the show, and that's another one that should have gotten like a movie to wrap everything together. There were so many open ends at the end of that thing. It's like, man.
As distribution costs reach zero and production costs reach zero too, because everybody's got a camera in their pocket now,
I tried watching Outlander. I got into some of it, but there was a little too much drama in it. And nothing against the show. I'm just saying it wasn't for me because I know a great many people, friends of mine, who are really into Outlander. But yeah.
The only real cost left is time. And as we offload more and more to AI, that's disappearing too. Soon you won't need to write a sketch or sing a song. Now you don't even need to buy a knife. And the worrying thing is that we as consumers are okay with this. Maybe not consciously, but many of these videos have millions of views.
But here's the thing, like this point of view is valid because this is the way that art critique works and has since the beginning of time. But on a more fundamental level, who are you to tell people what they can enjoy? Right? Especially under the current environment. If you can extract any amount of joy and any amount of wonder and any amount of just if you feel good for like 10 minutes in a row in today's fucking thing, you gotta call that a win. To be fair, I'm not a capitalist, but there's an understandable human appeal to want to create something that is enjoyable by as many as opposed to a few. Yes, creating something niche doesn't necessarily mean the end result is better, whatever that means. And it all has to do with intent, right? Like, what is the purpose of the art that you are making? You know what I mean? And that's where that is. Oh no, that's something else. Are you intending, like, when I make art, when I make a piece of art, it is between me and the art. And that's it. What happens to it after I'm done with it is not relevant to me. I don't particularly care. What up, Agricka? I put it out in the world and it goes on its own journey, and sometimes it stays with me, and sometimes it goes off and finds a new home and has a whole fucking other adventure, and I never know what happens to it. Should I be able to go into someone's house and, like, oh, you hung that piece of art upside down, or I don't like the position of it in your living room, so we need to move it to a place that's more conducive to my vision of what you should be doing with my art that you bought and put in your house. It's just, like, there are arguments that extend from the artist's control over a finished work that I find hilarious. Tell people what they should enjoy, and the rest that step into the undesirable territory get a blame in the same sentence. Yes, 100%.
We're voting with our attention, and this is what we want. Art and entertainment have become decoupled to such an insane extent, so much so that even without the human fingerprint being involved in it, Angel Engine, when I stumble across it, feels much more interesting than a lot of the other stuff that I'm watching.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, is there's a human fingerprint in this, right? Again, when people talk about AI art, right, in whatever capacity, I'll do crime bunnies for you, they like, the argument, at least, not necessarily the person, but the argument at least imagines that the AI entity creates of its own volition. Otherwise, it's a person using the tool and using it in a way to create the thing that they want to create, right? And it's often done in this comparison where every act of human creation that doesn't involve AI is somehow like magical and transformative. There's an entire genre of art creation on the internet called shit posting, right? There's an entire genre of bad Photoshop, like intentionally bad Photoshop, like lazy Photoshop. You know what I mean? What up, Skoya? So it's like, well, in order to do that, Silverlight, they would have to overcome, the Copyright Office saying that it requires X amount of, an undeclared amount of human authorship in order for it to be copyrightable. Which again, I think is is a great argument against the terrible copyright system that we currently have. Nothing should be copyrightable. Again, for the same reason that I should not be allowed to come into your house and tell you what you can do with my art that you bought from me.
The use of AI to make the images really that much worse than all the other garbage that we see out there? The comments on every Angel Engine video seem to think so, and I do too. Act 2. I'm a big believer in not letting robots dream for us. Robots cannot reflect the human condition for us. Nicolas Cage. Months before I saw Angel Engine, something terrible happened to me. I stumbled across an AI video that I liked. It was a video of a bunch of AI people responding to the idea that they were prompts.
Honestly, the biggest red flag is when the guy believes in the prompt theory. Like, really? We came from prompts? Wake up, man.
Vote for me and I'll ban the prompt theory from schools. There's no place for that nonsense in our lives.
Now, I don't know if the script for this was generated or whether it was directed by a person or what, but I found the video interesting, probably just because it was meta in the way that I like.
Right.
I don't have an answer for why I specifically thought this one was good and not the other ones.
You don't need an answer. What up, Nemesis? Yeah, you can just like things. It's okay to just like things. You don't need to delve into the reason that you like something. It just could, there's some part of you that you might not be fully in tune with to have a full-on description of why you like something. Oh, I just fucking like that. It's okay to just like things, dude.
I stumbled across. Maybe I'm just falling for this meme, which I see a lot anytime somebody freaks out about AI. Act like you're a scary robot. I'm a scary robot. No. And Angel Engine, even though the writing is human, the art is made by AI, by Midjourney to be specific. And I like what I've seen of Angel Engine. See, when guided correctly, AI is a tool, and maybe even a tool that can be wielded well. But everyone's missing the point with the recent discussions around AI art. Discussions around AI art need to stop focusing on quality. That's not what this is about.
Congratulations, kid. You have finally gotten to the point that we got to on this channel about 2.5 years ago. That the quality of the AI art or AI art will improve to the point where it doesn't fucking matter.
There's a much more important route. That being said, here's a really quick discussion about AI art and quality. The greatest move in marketing in the 2020s is the intelligence part of artificial intelligence. AI can't think.
Yeah, Raza, like if you just YouTube search prompt theory videos and VO3, get the VO3 ones. There's a bunch of good ones, there's a bunch of mid ones, and then there's a bunch of crap. As with all pieces of art, especially internet art. Because a lot of people create this is a fair critique and covers everything created on the internet, right? Specifically everything created on the internet. It probably could even extend out into like the meat space, right? Like when you're talking about photography, right? Even with photography with a digital camera or phone or whatever. You've got someone like Ansel Adams who can knock it out of the park with a black and white picture. And then other people who just don't seem to get exactly what makes a black and white picture like more powerful in certain contexts. And it's just what people do. There's people who create the new thing. There's people who create some of the best versions of that new thing, and there could be some crossover in that Venn diagram. And then there's people who attempt to mimic that or try to make something like that in their own way. And some of it's going to be good in spite of their not really understanding it, and some of it, a lot of it is going to be bad because they don't understand it, right? It's why you can't make a meme that you know is going to go viral, is because once you put it out into the world, you never know what the internet is going to attach itself to. Why is this particular thing appealing to people and not other stuff? Why did the Labubu's hit like a Beanie Baby and the infinite number of other little tchotchkes that were invented to try and get people to buy the loot box concept, none of those hit, right? Like Labubus are just the latest example of a long line of things. I don't know about the movie colorization process, but some people have been talking about Nano Banana doing that for images. And so, in theory, you could run every frame of a movie through Nano Banana or something of that type that would get you good colorization, and then maybe use AI to kind of weave it together or not. I'm out of my element where it comes to movie production.
Doesn't. It can't make anything new. I mean, what most people consider to be AI isn't even named AI. It's an LLM. What it really is just the synthesis.
And then we're doing that, right? LLMs are not AI because I understand the difference between those two concepts. Please exactly explain why they're not.
Of billions of words and all of the writing of the internet, and what it's done is it's made an amazing, technically impressive autocomplete. A couple of months ago, there was a pretty major paper released by Apple about AI and about how it's...
Last night I was looking through some of my TikToks and I got to the one where anyone as the avatar of the AI overlords on Twitch, anyone referencing the Apple reasoning paper has to solve the 8-level Hanoi Tower puzzle. And I'm going to say that he did not do that. He did not do one of those. He is just saw a paper that confirmed his preconceived notions and assumes it's accurate.
It's not thinking, it just has the illusion of thinking. When tasked with puzzles, it gave up at a threshold that given enough time, you or I could figure out. I know we all read things all day, every day from like the news or Twitter about how AI is going to revolutionize every single industry. I see so many articles quoting like a wild prediction from a guy who would make a lot of money if that prediction came true. Like, oh, Sam Altman, the CEO of ChatGPT, thinks that ChatGPT is going to be important. Breaking news, beeper salesman predicts big summer for beepers. What I'm trying to say is that the straits may not be as dire as we think. The best AI art that I've come across has been only in service of good writing. But I think even if that wasn't the case, it wouldn't matter. Is Angel Engine good because of its use of AI or in spite of its use of AI? Doesn't matter. If I asked an LLM to generate me a movie, and it did, with a full beginning, middle, and end, and it popped out, wouldn't matter. If I asked AI to make me a crime movie and it popped out The Actual Godfather, it wouldn't matter.
Why?
See, as we cope and frame the problems with AI like it's one of quality, we cede ground to the enemy by allowing them into the arena in the first place. We're giving them something to fix. Because the problem at the core of AI isn't about quality, it's a spiritual one. Every artistic movement from the beginning of time is an attempt to figure out a way to smuggle more of what the artist thinks is reality into the work of art. David Shields. I think at best, art is an invitation for connection. This is what the world looks like to me. Come into my living room and take a look around. Every proper artist is more or less a realist according to his own eyes. Zola. The problem with AI art is that AI doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have...
We do that every once in a while, Michael. There was one day where we looked at people's people's takes on painting as a technology, people's takes on photography as a technology, and the takes are all the same. This is the thing. The takes have always been the same.
A worldview. It has amalgamated billions of words and millions of pieces of writing into an unimaginably large faceless mass. It takes whatever sharp edges of human experience that we have and it sands it.
Disagree. Fundamentally disagree with this framing, right? It can't do what they're claiming that it is doing here, right? It removes the individual, right? Like any amalgamation of stuff removes the individual from the context, right? Like if you do, a multivariate study and you're trying to remove the individual in order to see a trend. And there are like advantages and disadvantages to that. So the individual is removed, but I would argue strongly that, what are you doing, Stampy? I would argue that by amalgamating all the human writing and videos and everything that ever existed into this thing, that it shows you the face of humanity, right? More based on the distribution American humanity, which is a thing in and of itself, with other features added. But generally speaking, it's showing you the face of humanity by putting all this together. So that isn't lost. And you can see it in the fact that these AI tools, these chatbots, are capable of having a personality, such as it is a fascinating concept. Like, where did that personality come from? What up, Chef? Where did it come from? It's a combination of the data, which is a reflection of all the human creativity and art and whatnot that it was incorporated into it. And then if you use reinforcement learning with human feedback, you introduce the preferences of a subgroup over that construction. And you can argue whether that's good or bad, and I can see both sides of that particular thing, but it is a thing that exists, and it's still reflective of humanity as a whole and humanity of a subgroup.
It filters it through everybody. What happens when AI art is good? It can't be. It never will be. It's only capable of making entertainment. It's patently incapable of creating art. All of the best art and even the worst art is a reflection of the individual or individuals. It's why people are obsessed with auteurs in cinema, people who have a singular vision from top to bottom. It's why pop heads make fun of other pop singers who don't write their own music and venerate their singers for writing it all on their own. It's why every time Jonathan Franzen does an interview, all anybody wants to know is what part of his writing is reflection of his real life upbringing.
I don't know who that is.
The most interesting part of art has always been and always will be the human fingerprints that are left behind. The problem with AI art is that every piece of it is written by committee. It can't have a worldview. Angel Engines...
It is absolutely not written by committee. It reflects the worldview of the creator, right? Because you don't get to see the stuff that creator did not like. You don't know what's on the cutting room floor. For example, the prompt theory videos that he enjoyed, at least one of, reflect editing choices, right? How much of the video to include, which videos to include, which order to include those videos in. There's a lot of human creativity that existed within the creation of those videos, regardless of whether or not a human wrote the script or not.
Mystique is man-made. Its art is just a rehash, a boring facsimile of Evangelion. The Studio Ghibli trend was just a rehash of something real. Just as you can tell that every time a movie has 15 screenwriters that it's gonna suck, AI...
The Studio Ghibli trend was in spite of Miyazaki not liking it, it was a love letter to Miyazaki. This is my image, and I would love to see myself reflected in your art. And since you aren't going to do that, I want to do it for myself. People have done this by humans. You can pay an artist to take your image and redo it in a style of some artist that they are able to reflect. You can pay a human being to do that. This was just accessible to everyone. And it was a reflection of how the Ghibli films made them feel. Because again, I'm sorry, Miyazaki, but once you are done with the art, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It's ours. And it should be ours. And we should do with it whatever we want. I should be able to take Howl's Moving Castle and chop it into all sorts of little pieces that I think make a thematic, narrative, and then play a song over the background, because this is what we used to do back in the day when the internet was filled with anime music videos. We blasted those fucking things out over the internet, and there were fucking amazing ones and there were terrible ones and all that other shit. And it was just, and everyone was looking for gold and everyone was trying to make gold.
Is just millions of screenwriters on everything that you make. Who cares? The stylistic developments that AI regurgitates back to us, it's patently incapable of developing on its own. So much of art is found in serendipity. Jaws is one of the greatest films of all time because of its score and the tension generated by a...
I hate this argument. I hate the Jaws argument, right? The Jaws argument is they couldn't get the fish to work and they couldn't do the thing, so they had to make the shark, and the shark was janky as fuck, and that lent something to the movie. But you have nothing to compare it to. You don't have the version of Jaws in which everything went the way that the director wanted it to out the gate. So you only have this romanticized concept that it was these things that made Jaws great, rather than I'm comparing Jaws created by, in the way that the director initially wanted to, and the the janky version, which is the one that we got. That's all we got. We have one version. Oh no, absolutely. And there's a whole thing, Old Lobster, of like the entire concept of Mystery Science Theater 3000 is built on making fun of janky movies. Right?
Single fin in the water, but that's not what Spielberg wanted to do. Spielberg wanted to show the shark more, but it kept malfunctioning.
Right.
And because of that, he had to find a different way to generate tension. Instead of showing the shark, they hinted at it, increasing the tension with that iconic score. And it worked.
But you have no basis for comparison to show this would have worked had he been able to get his original vision. You're making the argument that it's the artist's vision which is what's important in art, and he was not able to do his vision.
Went on to say that shark not working was a godsend. That could never happen with AI. A John Williams score can be regurgitated by it, but it can never be originated by it. In my opinion, the best bits, the best jokes are when somebody says something and you think, oh, how did I never think of that? When somebody crystallizes a universal human experience and puts it into words for the first time. Language models can't do that. They'll never be able to push any mediums forward, because what human experience do they have to offer? What insight?
I'm repeating myself at this point. I'm repeating myself. Like, there is a human behind. There are many humans, right? And then the human who is putting forth the piece of art to you. And when you create something without AI, there are the many humans who have influenced you through the course of your entire life, and then the piece of art that you put forth to the world.
Sight. They literally can't notice things. So much great art and artistic progress happens through people who push the boundaries forward. And while yes, humans are beings that create things based off of synthesis, they're all filtered through our unique human experience. If you
Right, and it goes back, Chef, to there are people who like practical effects, right? And there are people who like CGI. And that fight has been going on as long as we've had, CGI. And I would say that there's probably, if we were to look, an argument between practical effects and the people who used to use stop motion to get those practical effects. Like, I'm not doing layering of a guy in a Godzilla suit in a tiny city. I'm doing stop motion Godzilla in a tiny city, right? Like, it's all been here. We're just running over the same old ground.
You and I both watch the Super Bowl, we're going to both experience the exact same thing completely differently, depending on who we are and what teams we root for. An AI can only make things based off of stuff that other people have already made. It can't make anything new. It's just like a big game of telephone, and so much is lost in the process.
And these are just the same fucking arguments again and again and again. Like, I just say, I don't understand how any of this technology works, and I don't understand the creative process behind creating something with the AI, so I'm going to use these same regurgitated arguments. You want to talk about, holy shit, did I just run headlong into the fucking irony that these anti-AI art arguments are all, they're not yours. They're not yours. They're just they're argument by committee. You have taken in all the same arguments that a particular group of people feel, and you've amalgamated them together, and then you regurgitate them out onto the world. You have no original thoughts in the creation of this video. There's no artistic intent behind the creation of this video, because you're just regurgitating the same arguments that we've been having for the last 2.5 years at least. What up, Maddie? I have seen Godzilla vs. Bambi. It's quality old internet. Or matte painting versions with black and white filming that use green makeup because it works better with the black and white camera. True.
People emphasize that AI can't make quality art. They're moving the goalposts. They're letting it into the arena. And if you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, AI can't make art, but it can make entertainment, isn't that distinction super pretentious? And to that I say, yes, it is. But I also think it's important. Every few months, I see a new study pop up polling American and Chinese children, and it's always like, the average Chinese 8-year-old wants to be an astronaut, and the average American child wants to be a movie star, and this is why we're falling behind, wham, wham, wham. But as somebody who's been paying attention to these for years, I think there's a much more interesting trend in place. In the past decade, American children's dreams of being a rock star or a movie star have been replaced with dreams of being a YouTuber or an influencer. And while those are similar in some ways, I think it's an important distinction. For a long time, if you were a kid and you dreamed about fame or prestige, it came at the end of a craft or a work. A dream of being a movie star just by byproduct involves a dream of being part of the creation of a movie. A rock star involves being musical. The fame is an extension of an act. The children, even if not consciously, are still dreaming of being artists. But what
counterpoint, Kid Rock
is a YouTuber or an influencer? Not that there aren't high quality, artistically valuable things happening on those platforms, but I don't think that's most of what it is. And I don't think that's part of the dream. I'm always astounded by the amount of people on the YouTube subreddits talking about faceless channels and niches. It's like, why are you even doing this? The dreams of our children
to make money, dude. Should money be the reason they're doing it? Hopefully not, right? Like, but we live in a world that is driven by the making of money for, what's that, survival.
our societal values, just as presumably the children of Sparta dreamed about glory in combat. And
no, absolutely, Maddie. That's my point, is that Kid Rock came from a rich family who could support him as he tried. He initially looked like fucking Vanilla Ice 2. He came right out and said that it's not about the art for him, it's about making the money. Like,
the children in medieval England dreamed about being landed gentry. The switch from our kids dreaming about making art to dreaming about making entertainment or content is indicative of a larger societal trend. We're downstream of something. How much longer until our children stop dreaming of making their own entertainment and start dreaming about asking a robot to make it for them? Act 3. But Paul, you say, I'm a human, I'm not a robot. I've got a worldview. I can mold and prompt this robot to do whatever I want it to do. It's just a tool. A hammer can't dream, but does that...
He's talking to me. Let's fucking go, buddy.
Make the house that it builds count for less? And to that I say, good question, but let me answer with a really long anecdote. A couple of months ago, I was hanging out...
That's what I needed. That's what I needed as a response. A really long anecdote.
With this girl, and we were both getting some work done on our laptops. I was working on a thumbnail, and she was working on some schoolwork for college. And I looked over, and she was like, haha, don't judge me. And she was copying and pasting her homework into ChatGPT and then posting the answers.
Okay.
And it's like, yeah, she doesn't care about an astronomy 101 class that she's taking just because she needs the credit. And her teacher doesn't care about some minor homework assignment for an intro-level community college course. So like, why not? Why not use it? I saw a really fascinating graph showing ChatGPT use decline dramatically.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Stellar Wegman. Let me not answer, but tell you what I want to. 100%.
When summer break began, and I've seen so many articles about how both students and teachers are relying on it all day, every day. How teachers are using it to create and grade assignments, and how students are using it to complete those assignments. And I've been thinking about that astronomy homework a lot, because this was a really smart, well-read woman who I really respected. But here she was telling her prompt, write it like a 23-year-old, make sure not to use any M dashes, just so that she could convince her robot to trick her teacher's robot into thinking it was human. Even if AI is a tool, it costs us something. It detracts from our humanity. And maybe that's a price you're willing to pay for homework, but for art...
Kids have never cheated on their homework or schoolwork or tests prior to the creation of AI. That's what I'm getting.
For everything? One of the challenges with discussions around AI is that it's so broad and it covers so many bases. So much of what we think about as AI is just an algorithm that...
It's just an algorithm. Or so much of what we think isn't AI is actually AI. And we just want a different definition for what AI is.
That's been brushed up for marketing purposes. What does the work...
Raza, because the point behind the anecdote was that, like, she doesn't care about Astronomy 101. She's taking the class for the credit to get the hour, or, you know, the credit to get the degree that she really wants, right? He's not indicating that she was not focused on her, whatever her core coursework was. It was just this other class that she had to take. And it's about incentives. What are you incentivized? What do you value? It's an anecdote, Raza. Like, it's just there to justify the rest of his argument. It doesn't matter whether or not it's a horrible example. That's the point. As soon as he said he was going to an anecdote, it didn't matter.
Gain from you meticulously cutting a guy out of the background compared to just pressing the remove background button? Probably nothing. But generative AI, using it to make something from scratch, skipping to the end result without any of the middle parts? I know this is silly, but I think so much about the movie Click. Adam Sandler gets a remote that lets him pause and skip time.
Okay. Never in the history of the internet has anyone ever said this sentence.
So much about the movie Click. Adam Sandler AI, using it to make something from scratch, skipping to the end result without any of the middle parts? I know this is silly, but I think so much about the movie Click. Adam Sandler gets a remote that lets him pause and skip time, so he begins to use it to get through fights with his wife or stressful days at work or boring dance recitals. And what ends up happening is his remote picks up on his patterns and begins automatically skipping through those moments. By the end of the movie, Adam Sandler can't stop it, and his remote skips through all of his life, the stress, the negative, and the positive. It's a shockingly...
Right, and it's... All sci-fi movies, all of them, Terminator, Click, such as it is, any of the other ones, are not a critique of the technology that might be represented in the movie. They are a discussion of the human condition. It's about it's Click at its heart is when you're lying on your deathbed, no one is going to ask you how many hours you worked, right? No one cares about how many projects you fulfilled for your boss at the end of your life. It's about the moments that made up your life, that which you pass on to other people, the times you shared, etc., 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 right? That's what's at the heart of the story in the movie Click, right? That's what the movie's about. It has nothing to do with the AI, the remote being like an allegory for AI or anything else like that. Now, you can argue that people should go through the labor of getting good, right, at making art. And it's a valid argument, right? Like learning to draw, learning to paint, learning the skills necessary to have this particular tool reflect your vision in the universe. It's a valid argument. However, the amount of time involved in the creation of the piece of art does not matter. What matters is that the piece at the end of the artist's labors reflects the view of the artist. Is this what I was trying to say? That's it. I don't care if it took you 10 minutes or 10 years. That's not reflective of what you were trying to say. Because you could sit down and you could just be one of those people who's talented with a brush and just happen to have the right tools and be able to hit that paint, and it looks and it says what you want it to say, and it's beautiful, and whatever it is. You could just knock it out of the park on day one. That is not less valuable than the art that you made that took you 10 years. Right? Because it didn't do all those things for you. Everything was hard. Right? Like, I kept trying to get this thing to do this, and it never wanted to do that, etc., etc. Again, I have pieces of art that jumped right off. It was like bam, 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 bam. Everything did exactly what I wanted to. It was great. I was done. Right? Took less than a day. Boom. Start to finish. And I have other pieces of art that I'm still working on because it's not doing that. Which is more valuable? Why does valuable even come into it?
A moving film for a movie that also includes this scene. If we offload the pinnacle of human experience and wealth, the opportunity to get to express oneself and create something, then what are we doing? Our fathers were soldiers and farmers, so we could be lawyers and doctors, so our children could be artists and poets. John Adams. We're greatly privileged to get to act and write and sing and create things, and if we're willing to skip to the end of that too, then what are we here for? Generate me a painting, and then, let's turn on an AI TV show, and let's get a drone to bring us food, and, I'll text my ChatGPT girlfriend on my phone. Let's just get rid of all the human parts of the human experience. Let's just skip right to the end.
Or, dipshit, fucknuts, you choose your level of participation. I can spend. I have made food that takes fucking hours to create, right? That has fucking stages to it. Like, if I ever make you French onion soup, it's taken me 1 to 2 days of intermittent levels of labor and time in order to create French onion soup. Because I go all the way back to the basics, right? I will create my own vegetable broth from like fucking vegetables, right? And that shit will simmer. What up, Ribbons? It will simmer for hours on day one. And then it will cool in the refrigerator overnight. And then I will bust it out on day two. And I will make the the actual French onion soup out of it. And yeah, no, it has the cheese, right? And I will make the bread. I will make the baguette that I use for the crouton that goes in the fucking bowl. And I have the little fucking bowls, and you get the shredded cheese, and you put it on top. I use like my preference is Gruyere and Havarti because they have a nice melt and flavor to them, and like that, and it goes in the oven, and I bust it out, and I put it in front of you, right? It's a whole fucking process, but that's fucking voluntary as shit. Or we could go out, and I could take you to the place I think that has the best French onion soup, and that will be a different kind of experience. Or go to the fucking store and get the French onion soup that they have at the fucking store, and we could heat that up and have that. And that will be a different fucking experience. You choose your level of involvement.
There's a quote from Marcus Aurelius that I love, and it's a long one, but it's worth it.
You joke, Resute, but like there are days when I am like 2 stages away from making my own cheese. Like there are times when I get to the point where I am trying to like get to that fundamental day one experience. Yes, making an apple pie from scratch, right? I'm literally trying to recreate the universe in order to make an apple pie from scratch. You choose your level. It is a lot of work. It's a fuck ton of work. Is it better? It is when I tell you about it, right? It adds something, again, it adds something to the experience when I tell you the amount of time that I spent and all the steps I took to make the thing. Do I have to do that? I could get the vegetable broth from the store and use that instead. I don't know that there's that big a difference, but other people think there is, and that's the point.
At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? The things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for, to huddle under the blankets and stay warm? So you were born to feel nice?
Yeah. Shut the fuck up. I would grow my own wheat if I could at this point, but no property or time left to do it anyhow. And that's the thing, like, how much wheat would you have to grow in order to make bread? And how much time would you have to invest in the growing of that wheat in order to make your own bread? And how much bread would you have over the course of the year? You'd have to store all the flour. There are strong arguments for the division of labor, right? Like, I don't need to grow my own wheat, though I can imagine that would add something. If I told you that the baguette that I made in order to make the crouton for this fucking French onion soup, that I actually grew the wheat in the backyard and ground it on my little handheld grinder and created my own flour from it and then used that it would add something to your fucking experience. What up, man? Now, does it actually add anything to the quality of the bread? I don't think that it does. What up, Andy?
Instead of doing things and experiencing them, don't you see the plan?
Right. It's actually antithetical to the concept of a society for everyone to do everything on their own. The whole point is that you should do the things that you like to do, and I should do the things that I like to do, and we all community benefit.
The birds, the ants and spiders and bees going about their individual tasks, putting the world in order as best they can, and you're not willing to do your job as a human being? Why aren't you running to do what your nature demands?
Why do I have a job as a human being, sir? They can't help it. They can't help it. They can't help it. They always fall back on capitalist language. Oh, do you use AI to make your art? You're lazy. That's capitalism framing. Right? Under, like, fucking Baloo from the goddamn Jungle Book. Bare necessities, right? Just fucking chilling out. Eating food off the trees, fish out of the fucking thing, living his best fucking life, happy as shit, sings a little happy ass song, the whole fucking nine.
You don't love yourself enough, or you'd love your nature too, and what it demands of you. As evidenced by the decline of its use during the summer break, AI is primarily a cheating tool. But it's not just cheating school, it's cheating you out of your...
That is an argument that you could make. You could also say that it's an assistant, because you can use it and copy paste your answers into your thing, but you can also use it as a research assistant because it has access to this vast treasure trove that you can delve into the trove of the human condition, M- fucking thing, right? Like, you can use it for different purposes.
Ability and your opportunity to be human. The thing with AI art is the only one losing out.
Yeah, no, 100% Rescue, like, or it might not add to the quality of something. Buying the best made thing like cheese from the expert crafter or mass production so you can make enough for 50 instead of 10. Fucking valid, dude. And it's like, I could spend my time learning to make my own cheese and I might be good at it. Right? But based on all the other things in the world, I'd probably become middling to good at it. But there are people out there that this is what they fucking do, right? And they have years of history and knowledge and equipment and all the fucking things in order to make fucking cheese, right? And why don't I just let them do that? Or I might poison myself, which I'm not a fan of because, you know, planning to live forever and all that. ChatGPT says if you want 1 pound of bread per day, you only need 0.11 acres of wheat. But that seems low. It's factoring 60 pounds of wheat per bushel, and you get 50 bushels per acre of wheat. See? If you want, here's another fucking example. People fucking non-compete out here talking about how, you know, AI is actually bad for leftist theory and shit like that. No. You should really, like, if you want to really go self-sustainable off-grid, you should understand the amount of property that's required to produce X amount of food for Y number of people over the course of the entire year, and all the processes that you need, including growing your vegetables and then canning those vegetables so that you have those vegetables available in, you know, January and February, and how much, you know, what do I need in order to produce bread, and should I grow or should I raise animals at the very least for fertilizer and at most for food. Like, there are all these things that you should have to consider before you even try that kind of shit. And you know what? Non-compete, you fuck. AI can help you with that.
Is you. AI will make art accessible for everyone. It already was. Every time you choose to use AI to skip to the end, the only one losing out is yourself. If you can't write or sing,
you're not skipping to the end, dipshit. You're accelerating particular parts. Do you fucking get your paints and a canvas and like finger paint your fucking thing, or do you use a brush? Because the brush allows you to accelerate certain parts.
Or act or dance or dream anymore, you're denying your own nature. What are you here for?
What are you here for?
And I'm torn on Angel Engine. Unearthly Guide, the creator, confuses me. His backlog of work prior to Angel Engine is almost all AI slop. Studio Ghibli stuff and like, this is what your favorite character would look like in a different art style. But Angel Engine is good. And even if it's not...
Wild. Almost like this dude who creates with AI did exactly the thing that you were talking about earlier in the video, where he started off using the tool and then got better and better and better at using the tool, and then eventually got to the point where he was able to get his actual art and his actual vision out to the world. You dumb fuck.
Your cup of tea, or you like much more niche, hip analog horror than I do, it's something, it's interesting, and people are connecting with it. Is it the creator's responsibility to not use AI visuals, even if maybe the visual arts aren't something they're passionate about or interested in? If they can't afford to pay a creator, is it their moral duty to not create anything at all?
Right!
I don't know. I can't offer an answer.
Fucking coward! You were right there, bro. You were right there, and you know you were right there. And then you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. You do know. You're just a fucking coward.
That's completely satisfying, because it turns out life is complicated. It's not that AI isn't convenient or that it can't be useful, but it's a pact with the devil. How much of your humanity are you willing...
Textillion, same. As soon as it kicked in earlier in the episode, I was like, oh, you son of a bitch.
to outsource, to sell off. Angel Engine is such a fascinating example because it's about technological overreach. It's about the price that humanity pays to achieve progress. An angel descends from heaven, something that exists beyond our wildest imaginations. And the way humans use it
and Mr. Anti-AI art guy fucking thing. Did you write a check to that dude, whoever the fuck it was who created that particular piece of music? Did you compensate them? Is there, if I go right now and I look in your more about this fucking video down there part, I'm gonna definitely see where you said that you did. Okay, respect. He did the thing that I asked about, and he did. He said, this is the fucking music that I used in the fucking thing. So, respect.
sacrifices our own humanity. Like the kid who can no longer figure out how to complete an assignment without ChatGPT, or the lawyer who can't figure out how to send an email without one, or the programmer who's
How's your math without a calculator, my boy?
Lost when he runs out of tokens. Where is the end of the slippery slope? And usually these sorts of videos end with somebody being like,
but the person credited is the pianist, not the composer. I mean, Textillion, that's a whole other fucking can of worms.
Like, the world is terrible.
Hey, you could be, maybe you're right, Resute. I don't know, because I've heard some shit about what YouTube is getting up to these days. So, yeah, it's a whole other convo, right?
Terrible, everything's going down the toilet, we can never go back. So rarely do these sorts of videos have like a happy.
But unlike Dipshit McGee, I am going to give the other people the benefit of the doubt that they did their best to live up to their ideals. Humanity. Oh, the humanity of it all. Am I going to get an alert? Or is humanity a deep lurk? What up, homie? I appreciate you. Best lurker on Twitch, right? Like, humanity always in the background. Always lurking, but always subscribed.
Ending, but this one does. Every top comment on Angel Engine videos are people criticizing the use of AI. Almost all the discussions around it aren't about the series itself, but about its use of artificial intelligence.
And that would be indicative of a problem with the framing that people have around the AI art. I'm doing your crime bunnies for you. Did you like it? Was it good to you? That's the question. It's not what tool they used. It's did you like it?
Now finally, the creator has commissioned a real artist to make the visuals for the series. The most recent episode is man-made. That's
missing the entire point is that the only reason that they were successful enough in order to hire a real artist in order to create the visuals for it was because they used the AI tool.
It's a win generated by us, by cultural pressure, by people believing in something and believing in the human experience. And look, I've used AI before. Not a ton, but I was fascinated by it. I was curious about it, and I bet you've used it too. But as I've thought more and more deeply about it, I've decided I'm done with it. I'm swearing off of it. In a world where everyone else is becoming less human, is outsourcing the point of all of this
it's my favorite.
to something else, there's an actual solution, and it's you and me. You don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to have been, but every time you choose not to use AI, you're making a decision to be more human than the other people who are letting it diminish their own human experience. I can ask AI to generate me an image of a cave painting, and it will be technically complex, but there is nothing more meaningful to me than images of this cave painting. It's just hands on walls, but it's so powerful. We were here, we were alive. So go make art and write a song and make a puppet and wear a costume. The poem that you wrote in your notes app 6 months ago while tipsy outside of a bar, that terrible, terrible poem is worth literally 10.
You feel me, Textillion? You feel me? You feel me?
10,000 times more artistically than any poem or piece of anything generated by a robot ever will be.
Can you get AI to fix your fucking audio, bro? Because I've got you cranked to the max, and you're still like, I'm looking at my bars like more than I should have to for a seemingly professional AI video. Also, love the mic and stand-up wall fucking action. Like this aesthetic, top tier.
Is a celebration.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
Oops. I fucked up. I rewound. Where were we?
Your humanity are you willing to outsource, to sell off? Angel Engine is such a fascinating recent episode is man-made. You've used it too. But as I've thought more and more deeply about it, I've decided I'm done with it. I'm swearing off of it. In a world where everyone else is becoming less human, is outsourcing the point of all of this to something else, there's an actual solution, and it's you and me. You don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to have been, but every time you choose not to use AI, you're making a decision to be more human than the other people who are letting it diminish their own human experience. I can ask AI to generate me an image of a cave painting, and it will be technically complex, but there is...
Counterpoint. The ultimate in human experience is not recorded or replicated in any way, shape, or form. The most authentic human experience is the one you achieve from your first-person perspective when you engage with the world, with another human being. The very act of attempting to reflect that human experience in any way cheapens that, because it is nothing but a pale imitation of that which you experience firsthand, first person. And because you can't do that in that perfect way, in order to reflect that moment in a deep and meaningful way, so that another person can experience exactly what you did at that point in time, you are doing a disservice to that human experience. Because that's what your fucking argument sounds like.
Nothing more meaningful to me than images of this cave painting. It's just hands on walls, but it's so powerful. We were here, we were alive. So go make art and write a song and make a puppet and wear a costume. The poem that you wrote in your notes app 6 months ago while tipsy outside of a bar, that terrible, terrible poem is worth literally 10,000 times more artistically than any poem or piece of anything generated by a robot ever.
Ow. Can you show me your math on that? As an experiencer of poetry throughout my entire life, both as a creator and an appreciator, wrong.
Or will be. Art is a celebration of your life. So go out there and make something. Go out there and be human. Special thanks to John Howard, Parker Burgett, and JP King, my Patreons. Yes.
Must be nice. I would like some Patreons. All right. Just adjusting the volume because I don't know how hot the next one is going to come in. How did AI ruin science fiction?
AI has ruined science fiction movies.
Done. 3 seconds in, done. Yes, X1011, but it felt really pedantic at that point to talk about how Patreon is the platform and your patrons are the ones that give you the money, and actually that's the way that art has always worked, is that most of the people that you are aware of over the course of human history that have created art, the reason that you know who they are is because they had a fucking patron. The vast majority of artists, you have no idea who they are.
and shows and video games. The magic and wonder of intelligent technology has been a part of storytelling for 2 centuries now. Imagine a mechanical being, incredible. Computers you can speak to, synthetics yearning for humanity, robots that become conscious.
Why do the synthetics yearn for humanity in the science fiction stories? Because, as I said just a little bit ago, all science fiction is a discussion of human conditions. It has nothing to do with the underlying technology. It's discussing human conditions.
Men transformed into machines. We've also had blatant warnings about uncontrolled artificial intelligence trying to exterminate mankind.
And it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are dead.
This is particularly hilarious to bring up that example because that fucking guy who directed that fucking movie now uses AI and thinks it's cool. So maybe, yes, Van Gogh is the one that springs to mind.
I swear I will not kill anyone.
He swears it, right? There's another example because in the second movie, the very artificial intelligence that you were worried about in the first movie is actually the protector spoiler of John Connor in the second movie, indicating that the technology is actually dual use and can be good and can be bad. And holy shit.
And stories of man's reliance on the convenience of technology leading to an adorable robot being a far more sympathetic character than humans. But now that this technology is actually here, it's affecting science fiction stories by making them feel more dated in certain ways, but more so by changing our relationship.
How are you going to show me the fucking claymation ass fucking Total Recall and then talk about how now AI is making shit look dated? What, 2 weeks?
With them. And I am not saying that dated media is bad. I still love this stuff as much as anyone else. Many science fiction concepts break down under even the slightest scrutiny. I mean, criminals can just run away from slow-ass RoboCop, but they don't. We still have fun with the stories, though. We can let go of certain logical holes. And we laugh at how technology was shown to be in the future, when they were either incredibly off in their predictions, or the distant future is shown with old clickety-clackety computers from the 1970s. Pretty much any portrayal of the future is bound to become dated at some point, when real technology has proved to evolve much faster than anticipated and in unpredictable ways. Carl Sagan tried to avoid this in 2001: A Space Odyssey by imagining an alien civilization so advanced that they'd essentially become ethereal. Can't disprove that anytime soon. Much faster than anticipated and in unpredictable ways. Carl Sagan tried to avoid this in 2001: A Space Odyssey by
Carl Sagan wrote Contact, which is what he's trying to get across here. Contact, the aliens were ethereal. Also, Arthur C. Clarke's 2001: A Space Odyssey, the aliens were ethereal. It's part of it because the whole concept of like this higher level, higher dimensional being existing, Interstellar, the aliens are, it's like a whole fucking thing, right? Like having a higher level where you can perceive more of not only the 3 different dimensions and then time that we do, but you can perceive time as a dimension, a physical dimension, where as opposed, like when you have a ruler, right? If you imagine, what up, trans women? CEO of trans women. If you have a ruler, you are able to perceive every aspect of a length. Now just take that and turn it into a way to perceive time, where you can perceive the entirety of time in that same way. So that each individual second, nanosecond slice of time that so you can interact with it at all those different points. That's why you have this hyperdimensional alien that's not represented on camera in any realistic way. And if it does, it usually does the trope of, I'm appearing to you in this form as it's most calming to you, and I don't want to fuck with your tiny little human monkey brain by showing you what I actually look like, because you would be unable to perceive me.
Imagining an alien civilization so advanced that they'd essentially become ethereal. Can't disprove that anytime soon. While on the other side, 1960s Star Trek sets are so basic and dated that they're really charming. They did the best they could at the time, I'm not judging them, old Star Trek is great, but we know this isn't how it would look. Sometimes the concepts...
Honestly, Transformer, I have a friend who is super into Stargate, and I wasn't. And I feel like I should have been more, and I keep intending to go back and trying to watch the series, because I'm totally down for like hardcore watching a series, but now I'm running into an issue where I am a linear being who exists in regular space-time and, you know, goes through this process. I have nothing negative to say about it. Whether or not it's more realistic, the idea that I could create a jump gate on a planet without causing some sort of magnetic distortion that warps local space-time and causes maybe a black hole singularity to form without, you know, that kind of shit. Like, but I like the concept behind it. You know what I mean?
Themselves are dated, but often the concept is fine, it's just the execution. It's very believable to show the future having digital readouts of everyone's vitals after cryosleep, but using CRT monitors for the future became outdated by the time flat-screen TVs hit the market. Though it's notable that despite old visions of the future coming across as dated, the aesthetic of retrofuturism has remained a strong artistic style in later.
And you can even argue that the use of CRTs is a reliable technology. This is one of the underpinnings. There's a bunch of like blue collar sci-fi pencil and paper RPGs that talk about the technology that's used within these spaces as being reliable. Right? Maybe a flat screen is just as reliable in long distance space travel, but maybe a CRT is more so, right? Like it's cheaper to produce and it's cheaper to install. And if something goes wrong with it, it's cheaper to repair. Could be, not really saying either way, right? And the whole vacuum tubes, right? Can you imagine an alien-style blue-collar sci-fi series where everything runs on fucking vacuum tubes? And the reason that they do the vacuum tubes is because vacuum tubes produce excess heat that can be then used to warm the cabin and keep the people alive? Something like that. Like, these are fun things you can fucking explore.
Generations, with the world of something like Alien Romulus and its 1970s vision of the future being a far more immersive experience than its contemporary counterparts that try to predict the future as accurately as possible. However, through all of movie history, something that never felt dated until the past decade or so, to me at least, was the robot voice.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
They have used their powers of mind control to gain access to the ship's computer.
The Robinsons belong to me. I will not give up my family.
Oh, thank God, you're all right. You know, being Carolyn taught me a valuable lesson. I thought you were my greatest enemy, when all along you were my best friend.
We've always envisioned that computers and robots that were able to speak would do so in a way that reflected their artificiality. Not in every case. Some works of fiction had the foresight to see a future where AI voices were indistinguishable from humans, and as we get into the 2000s and 2010s, we see more accurate representations of AI voices as essentially human voices. But in many cases, something that's AI or programmed to speak is shown to have a robotic nature to it.
Why is there a car called a passport? No, I want the I want the when he. Fuck. I want the docking scene. Yeah. But I want to.
Oh, I hate it here.
I truly do sometimes. I want when he talks to the computer. Fuck. Anyways, this dude's just wrong, right? Because 1968, early example of the computer had a completely human voice. It's selective memory, right? It's selective memory. They also believe that 2001 came from Carl Sagan. So we have to.
Sorry? Would you please rephrase the question?
I didn't know it was a man. I didn't know man and clown were the same.
For crisp yet moist potatoes, brown on one side, then turn over.
Now we can add this type of voice to the list of things we see in movies and shows that's totally dated. AI voices are already becoming impossible to detect in 2025. There's no way they're gonna sound less convincing in 2125. Unless they're programmed to sound that way, which is not a crazy concept. Vintage things come back into fashion all the time. Jeans used to have holes in them from long-term use. Then they started selling jeans with holes already in them. People are starting to collect vinyl records again. Hell,
If anybody wants to buy my jeans with authentic holes in them, I got you.
I predict that once we have mainstream technology that makes smartphone screens impossible to break, people will start buying skins that make it look like their screen is cracked. Just like how going from VHS to digital video and then 4K has led to people going.
I don't think that that's correct. The reason, like, a cracked screen obscures your view, which is part of the problem with it, right? Like, I don't think that people are going to buy screen protectors that simulate a cracked screen. It just, again, fucking analogies and metaphors are a real shortcoming in the human race. Is no.
Going back to VHS technology to make modern music videos. If you did that in 2002, you'd be laughed at for your videos looking cheap. But now the same exact thing is seen as cool because it's now so far removed from the current technology. We've had these AI
No, but Poodlehawk, I got you because I got my jeans used from Savers, so they're old, right? They're the better jeans, and then I wore them to work, and they wore out like in the knees because you would get down, on your knee in order to fucking work the outlets and shit like that. And like, so they would wear out in the knees, and then they would wear out in other places when I was working doing glass block window install. So when you do a glass block window, you squirt the mortar in there with like basically what looks like a piping bag, and then you have a trowel that you use to cut and then strike the surface, and you need that to be smooth and clean. So when you strike it, it gets you a nice smooth finish. And the easiest thing to do with the trowel to make sure it's clean of any of that excess mortar is to wipe it on your thigh. So that's where the lime and the friction and the sand gradually wore. So I have aesthetically pleasing ripped jeans. I should put them up on eBay, right? At this point.
Voice helpers with us for a while now, with Siri and all that. And now that large language models have gone mainstream, and people are talking to ChatGPT or AI partners, and even falling in love with disembodied voices, companies have a lot of incentive to make those voices even more.
It's good shit. I do epoxy countertops. It's been a minute, but like this piece right here is made with epoxy, right? Like I do like epoxy art and that kind of shit. And so yeah, I'm a huge fan of epoxy.
More realistic. But you can customize a lot of this stuff too. I don't use an AI assistant myself, but if I did, I wouldn't want it to
What up, Matt?
Sound exactly human. I would program it to talk like the computer from TNG because I think it sounds cool.
Site-to-site transport interlocks have been manually deactivated.
It's not impossible that these future super intelligent computers will talk like a 1980s speak and spell, because if the captain of the ship wants it to speak like that, I'm sure it could. Alright, so that addresses the issue of the classic AI voice becoming dated. But what really has me thinking lately is how public opinion towards AI in the real world could change how stories featuring AI are received. When I first saw Her in 2013, I was incredibly moved. I had a long-distance internet relationship for a couple years when I was a kid, so I knew very well what it's like to be in love with the voice and personality of someone who isn't physically there.
No, fair.
I related deeply to that movie. But 2013 was a very different time when I wasn't feeling angry about AI causing my friends in creative fields to lose their jobs, or worried about my own job, disgusted by the idea of AI movies eventually ending up in movie theaters, concerned that a generation of children are gonna think they're friends with the AI assistants in their homes and not actually learn anything in school because AI does all the work for them. Upset that I'm close to not being able to tell the difference between an AI YouTube video and a real one. Scared that news and politics around the world are about to be steered by mass AI disinformation campaigns. And annoyed by every single application and website advertising their integrated AI services to me. And yes, I am lumping generative AI, LLMs, and eventual artificial superintelligence all together because it's all part of the same push into the future of intelligent systems becoming integrated into our world.
Respect, right? They are all of the same thing.
I don't know how charming it is anymore to watch a movie about a sad, lonely man fall in love with his operating system. I know that movie has the right kind of ending, I won't spoil it here, but I used to not find the central premise that off-putting. It's still a great film, but I get some different, conflicting feelings about it now.
It's a movie about exploring the human condition and how the AI actually makes him a better person. And then eventually he has a relationship with another human being post the AI relationship. It's there's nothing weird about what happens. It's actually like an amazing concept. If we could, people joke about the whole AI girlfriend thing, right? But if that AI girlfriend was not like built for capitalist purposes, but actually built to help you become the better person that you want to be, right? It's a voluntary consensual relationship to improve yourself, then what the fuck? It is a spoiler, but I mean, come on. We watched it in Discord. If you weren't here for movie night, that's on you.
Even my favorite movie of all time, RoboCop, has gone from movie I loved as a kid because it was violent and cool and RoboCop is just an awesome hero, to movie that is far deeper and more brilliant than I ever realized, to movie I love with all my heart but terrifies me because of how horrible the central premise is. RoboCop isn't something cool. That's a good man whose murder was orchestrated by a greedy corporation who cut his body apart, erased his memory, and turned him into a soulless 24-hour-a-day slave. He's a prototype for the type of police officer that never complains and they don't have to pay. The kind of worker that every company wants to replace their workforce with now.
This guy's really good.
He's not a guy, he's a machine.
What are they gonna do, replace us?
We've been replacing jobs with technology for all of human existence. The cotton gin, car manufacturing, and robot cops. This is nothing new. And now that technology is actually intelligent, and we're facing the mass elimination of entry-level company positions, concept artists, makeup artists, photographers, lawyers, writers, I have to wonder how stories are gonna age that ask us to sympathize with robots. Will upcoming generations see Short Circuit as early propaganda for the acceptance of AI, instead of the heartwarming story of a lovable robot who discovers life and becomes a hero? Will Data's sense of curiosity and desire to acquire human emotions be seen as terrifying once we have actual AIs pretending to be human? What about old video games where you have a robot companion, or in some way are expected to sympathize with an AI character in the story? I remember seeing Bicentennial Man, the story of a robot house servant who upgrades himself over decades, trying his hardest to become human. And it made me cry like a baby at the end when Robin Williams goes in front of the board to ask for his certification of humanity. It was a really moving story. But I don't want AI house servants becoming fully sentient. I don't want an AI to get human rights just—
Why not, you fucking soulless bastard? Like, he worked his entire existence in order to achieve something that you just happened to be born with, you fuck.
Just because they put it inside of a human-looking body? It's weird, I feel weird. I still love these stories, but there's a dissonance in my head now. A small, sour— I still love the
AI art. Oh my god. Holy fuck. Oh. Why are you afraid of this?
These stories, but there's a
I mean, I don't know. It feels very anti-immigrant coded, right? You just happen to be born American, so somehow you have a greater status in this country than people who want to come here and want to be an American.
In my head now, a small sour taste that I don't want to be there. But it's there because the world is changing in big ways, really fast. And when technology catches up with the predictions made in fiction, it's gonna change how they resonate with us as we revisit them. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the only one thinking this stuff, because I don't like to talk about it. I find it uncomfortable and sometimes sad, and I don't like to bring up topics that depress my friends. The anxiety—
Oh my god, dude. Not wanting to have uncomfortable conversation. And I'm not saying, like, I have friends. I have varying degrees of friends, right? And not all conversations are for all friends, right? Like, some of them get very uncomfortable when you start talking about, like, that is how the world works, right? Like, and I get it, right? Your level of reality and how much you want to perceive reality. Well, I'm not a real leftist, trans women. I'm not a real leftist, apparently, because I have friends and touch grass and take showers.
anxiety of the moment and the difficult times ahead are going to change how romanticized concepts feel in past works of fiction born out of ignorance. It's okay, and it's okay to still enjoy them because the things they portray weren't done out of malice. But going forward, we're naturally going to be skeptical of stories that are AI-centered because they're being made in a world where AI isn't some far-off concept, it's here and there are real consequences. AI being everywhere may make it hard to see a new movie that has us rooting for a robot character like we used to. That's how I felt in Companion. I don't want to spoil the movie, it's too recent. You should watch it, it's good. But while I'm expected to sympathize with the main character, and I do to a degree, I also have that thought of this doesn't really matter anyway because AI isn't human. And I don't think I would have felt that way if the same movie had come out 10 years ago. I was talking to a girl last December that I was pretty interested in, and I wrote her a couple paragraphs of my thoughts on a movie she recommended to me. I saw similarities between her and the main character, and I pointed.
Woo! That's you gotta be careful there, bro. You gotta really be careful there, bro.
That out. And she responded with something like, wow, yeah, that's definitely true. Did you get ChatGPT to write that? And it's like, man, is that how things are going to be now? If I express a detailed thought in a text conversation, the authenticity of it is now in doubt because people are using AI to manage their chats, even think for them? And does that mean she's using AI to respond to me? If so, I'm out. It's actually the first time I've ever been happy that I'm on the older side, because I'd hate to be going through this as a kid. If you are a kid, good luck to you. You're entering a pretty crazy place.
Again, the youngers with the back in my day and all of it. It's fascinating.
I wish I had some great conclusion to this video,
I do
advice
too.
or some grand revelation, but I don't. It's just how I feel, and maybe you feel the same, or maybe you feel differently. But I wanted to get it out there because this is just the beginning. Like, subscribe, Patreon, Twitch.
This was a great scene.
It's just how I feel.
This is Alien 3, the one with the prison planet. If I'm recalling, no, this is Alien 2. This is Alien 2. Aliens, and when they cut that in and send in that camera, and it was so like evocative of like how the aliens and the humans, the human corporations and all the technology were so similar to each other, and the aliens were actually like more organic than the humans. It's wild. Like just this scene and the way they use the smoke and the lasers, everything just very cool.
And maybe you feel the same, or maybe you feel differently. But I wanted to get it out there because this is just the beginning. Like, subscribe, Patreon, Twitch, all that stuff. Thanks.
You're on Twitch? Who are you on Twitch? Under the Mayo.
Can we stop for food?
Oh, you're just playing Doom. I mean, cool. Like, I got nothing against it, but like, I would have liked to see like content that's more reflective of your YouTube content. What do we got? 20 minutes? How long is this video? $14 minutes? Sounds good. Yeah, we might be in a bubble.
Late last week, everybody's least favorite tech priest T-Rex, Sam Altman, said
wrong. That's Elon. Elon is everybody's least favorite tech priest T-Rex, Sam Altman. Or Elon Musk, sorry. Yeah. Sam Altman is kind of up there with a
What exactly is a tech millionaire?
It's a lot like a regular.
We were doing so well. We were doing so well. And now you're broken. Why are you broken?
Everything is going extremely well.
Extremely well. And it's still there and still broken. I'm waiting for the jump scare later on this episode when it fucking kicks in again to finish off the fucking thing. Yeah, that's bad.
The quiet part out loud when he suggested that AI and the industry surrounding it might be in a bit of a bubble.
And then when you actually go and you look at what he said, as AI Daily Brief did, and we watched that video, that's not in fact what he said. But go ahead. I'm fascinated that within the first 10 seconds you misremembered.
This simultaneously shocked absolutely everyone and absolutely nobody at the same time. The value of the entire stock market has nearly doubled over the last 5 years. This has been driven almost entirely by just 10 companies, whose growth was in turn driven almost entirely by the promise of AI. Most people understand that this isn't sustainable, but they also understand that technology like this has changed the world before. Improvements are slowing down as new models are showing disappointing improvements, but every day we are discovering new things we can do with these products. For every
There's nothing that indicates to me the health of a system than people on Reddit who are unhappy with your upgrade to your model.
Improvements, but every day we are discovering new things we can do with these products. For every argument, there is a counter-argument. You don't need to watch another video speculating about the future of AI, because the truth is nobody has a damn clue. But what we can do is look back over these last 3 years and find out how much this whole game has cost us, because the numbers are not good.
It's almost like investors are saying 100 million isn't enough, Deirdre.
The numbers are high. Whether or not they're good is subjective. The numbers are large. The numbers are high.
Make it too.
And we're told that Zuckerberg at that time really said, okay,
I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States.
Like, do people not understand? Like, again, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about these people who critique investments and all these other fucking things. That if I spend $100 and I get back 10,000, then that's good. If I'm in that frame of reference, right? Like, fuck, Powerball is currently $1 billion. If I spend $2 on a ticket and win $1 billion, that's good, right? Like, maybe something.
It's America. I think this will be the most important project of this era.
The dormant nuclear reactors at 3 Mile Island, because decades after a partial reactor meltdown shut down part of the facility.
Look at this chart.
Okay,
Let's bring it
so
up.
everybody has been paying a lot of attention.
But it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's probably bad.
It's probably bad.
To the astronomical valuations that have been assigned to everything, even partially AI related. And they have also been paying attention to billions of dollars in value vanishing into thin air whenever Jensen Huang sneezes the wrong way. Now, to be fair, we kind of have to pay attention to it, because that's all of our retirements.
And he's full of shit there. We did it. There's a clip You can go watch it in the clips. You can go watch it on the YouTube shorts, or you can go watch it on my TikTok. Like, I got all the things. And there's a clip where we actually look at the numbers and we reference the, oh, it's bad fucking meme in the thing. But then when you actually look at it, these little these claims that the sky is falling, they're minor variations and the trend still goes up. Line go up. Right. And again, you can feel however you want about that. And there are other things we could be spending money on. And then we get into, MMT and that whole fucking thing. We can spend money on whatever we fucking want to spend money on. But the point is that, the line's still going up.
Savings tied up in this fun little game. But all of this value probably means a lot less than you think. Market capitalization, which is what most AI headlines focus on, is simply a calculation of how many shares are in circulation multiplied by what number the last speculator in line made a trade at. If Nvidia halves in value, that doesn't mean that $2 trillion has been destroyed. It just means we have put a new price tag on what this business does. Just like if Walmart marks down a banana from $10 to $5, it hasn't destroyed $5. The actual numbers we should be paying attention to are the actual resources that we have put into this system versus what we have gotten back out. And by resources, you can't just...
This is short-term ROI. Right? This is businesses need to generate profits immediately, not infrastructure investments, which is something that we used to do, right? Like the fucking railroad that ran from New York to California that had to be built didn't generate any fucking money the entire time they were moving that shit along. I suppose they could, run it between New York and Chicago. So I suppose it gradually made some kind of money, but it probably wasn't worth the investment. People weren't getting back the ROIs they expected to, because the entire fucking point was to get from New York to California so that West Coast shipping and East Coast shipping could fucking merge with each other.
Think of cash. Cash is really just the receipt for resources. So while dollars are a great unit to tally everything up, what we should instead be keeping track of is how many cold, hard, tangible Age of Empire style resources we have used to fuel this one particular tech tree. Because only then can we find out if this is really making the world a richer place. Alright, so how do we do that? Well, we can start from a simple analysis of the direct business expenses taken on by companies desperate to stay ahead of their competitors. And after that, we can work down to the less tangible stuff, like the opportunity cost of sanctioning China over AI chips or dedicating some of the world's best researchers to producing whatever the hell this is. The first major resource being used to fuel this machine is the most obvious one: all of those chips. In our Amazon video released just a month ago, the tally for AI capital expenditure amongst just 4 of the top tech companies had reached $200 billion for the year and $60 billion for the most recent reported quarter alone. But since that video went live, new filings have come out, and now, according to company reports collated by Bloomberg, spending for this year is already on track to hit $344 billion. That is more than 1% of America.
And what are they? Oh, here we go.
America's entire GDP being used building compute infrastructure to develop and operate new models.
That's it. That's the answer to your question. They have to build the fucking infrastructure. Does the infrastructure exist? It does not exist. So therefore, we must build it.
Now, if this sounds just a little bit dumb to you, don't worry. It's actually worse than you think. For one thing, this number only includes the top 4 tracked public firms: Meta, Google, Microsoft, and the biggest spender of all, Amazon. Smaller businesses or private companies like OpenAI are not included in these numbers because...
Exactly, Ben. And we have lived under that condition for so long that when someone does something other than that, we think it's a problem, right? Like the fact that you have to, invest in solar, invest in wind, invest in whatever the fuck, nuclear, fusion, whatever, to get some eventual return down the road is like you're doing something wrong. You should be making money right now. You should be ROIing right now. And it's like, what the fuck?
They don't have to release financial information, but from the outside, we can still make some educated guesses. The scale and frequency of fundraising taking place at OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, is growing exponentially every year, even as they have started squeezing out revenue. In March this year, the company received $40 billion from investors in the largest private tech deal in history. And then, just 4 months later, they raised another $8.3 billion. Every time they do this, their existing investors are giving up some of their stake in the company. So the only reason they would go ahead with it is if they really needed the money, which they do, mostly to keep on building new computers.
Why is it the only reason they would go ahead with it? Like, I'm a little unclear.
Capacity. The second reason the spending is probably even worse than it looks has a lot to do with accounting. Capital expenditure just means businesses spending money on fixed assets like land, vehicles, and in this instance, gigantic data centers. For the accountants, this distinction is important, because if a company makes $1 million in gross profit and then spends $1 million buying a building, it doesn't get to subtract the total purchase from its revenue up front like it would if it spent $1 million on a regular expense like salaries. Instead, they have to use a depreciation schedule, which accounts for how much value an item loses with every year of use in line with industry standards. For server equipment, that is 5 years, which means if a company spent $1 million on a fancy new rack of NVIDIA GPUs, they would only be able to claim $200,000 a year as actual expenses against their taxes. Normally, companies want to maximize this depreciation to minimize their tax liability, artificially making things look worse in the business than they actually are, as far as the IRS is concerned.
True.
But right now, they are kind of doing the opposite. Chips that were state-of-the-art in 2022 when ChatGPT first launched are almost completely useless in today's modern AI data centers and are largely not even worth the energy to run.
Bold claim, Old Lobster. Seems a bit off, right? Just kind of pulling shit out of your ass.
It's highly unlikely that the billions of dollars in chips that they are buying right now are going to take 5 years to fully depreciate, even though that is what it's going to say on their official financial statements. This treadmill of technology has created a higher level of spending than any other project in history, and what is easy to forget with all of these insane numbers being thrown around is that these are...
You may use 10 to 25% more power for the same amount of compute, but the cost associated with replacement far outpaces the cost of power. Funny that, right? Like, do you think people would really do that? Just get on the internet and tell lies?
Resources that could have been used elsewhere. One way that you could interpret these numbers is that the rapidly escalating AI arms race has become an incredibly efficient machine that turns investor dollars into e-waste with a byproduct of brain rot. But maybe we are getting ahead of ourselves. So far, total spending on just this technical hardware alone has amounted to around $1 trillion by just these 4 companies. According to data from Stanford, Chinese state-owned enterprises have invested an additional $500 billion into AI infrastructure. And then every other organization in the world that isn't Amazon, Meta, Google, or Microsoft has dropped in another $500 billion working backwards off the sales data from NVIDIA and AMD. But that's just the first item on the budget sheet.
Why did you say 500 billion when it was China and $500 billion for the rest of the world? Because those numbers are the same. And I don't like word choice fucking matters.
And these companies are finding out the hardware is the cheap part. So it's time to learn how money works to find out how much the world has spent on the AI.
Oh, I no longer rely on you to tell me anything, dude, because like it was bad enough when I thought you were full of shit on certain shit, but the fact that like you're just lying to people.
Arms race so far. This week's video is made possible by Brilliant.
Nope. None for you. None for you. Go ahead, call me out on it for using your content without letting you run your fucking brilliant fucking ad read.
To where it is now have already been staggering. But when you do a cost-benefit analysis, it's also important to look at, well, the benefits. The only problem is, those benefits have been surprisingly hard to find. A report by MIT tracked 300 companies implementing generative AI.
These people are fucking exhausting. Like, did you read the study? Did you watch an analysis of the study? Do you understand why 95% of them are failing? It has everything to do with friction, you dumb shit.
Into their workflows on an enterprise level. Despite an additional $30 to $40 billion of investment, which we can add to the tally, the study found that 95% of the organizations generated zero returns from AI. Now, for what it's worth, I would like to say that
generating zero returns from the company's implemented AI, not zero returns from AI and Gen AI in particular, right? Because the fucking study goes on to say that most people are preferring to use their own tools, the ones that they use in their personal life, to assist them in their work. Because you actually have to do the entire thing, not just the fucking headline of 90%, 95% failure rate.
I don't want to completely write off AI, even though I know it's sometimes really easy to hate on how it's being sold to the world. AI, like most new technologies, is coming along with a bit too much hype, but underneath that, there are some cool things you can do with it. I know I have used this example before, but even here at Little Ol' Works Media Group, we used to spend hours every week cutting out images to use as assets in our videos. Now, most of that can be done with AI tools, letting our editors actually work on.
I'm not saying anything, old lobster. I'm just saying, like, dude's kind of gone missing, and like, I don't know. Somebody said something about like they like I wish no harm on any other human being. Radical empathy and all that. I'm just saying. Oh, it's a wild time. It's a wild time. It's a wild time.
Something creative, or just getting some time to go out and touch grass. These are real practical tools that have helped make someone's working day easier, more productive, and less monotonous. The problem with this, though, is that when companies, governments, and non-profit organizations have poured trillions of dollars into developing this technology, useful practical tools are not good enough. Companies want to be able to replace their workforce, not make their work slightly easier. Governments want a superintelligence, not something that can trim out JPEGs. And honestly, I don't even want to know what someone like Peter Thiel wants.
Sure.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
Yes?
I don't know. I would yes.
Okay.
But whatever these grand ambitions end up being, the bill is adding up. And we haven't even got to the big expense yet. Energy. Earlier this month, a group of AI researchers started making headlines after they returned from a tour of facilities in China. Their claim was that America had probably already lost the AI arms race, not because China had better technology or researchers, but because they had an actual functional electric grid. According to the Department of Energy in a report,
Oh, you mean they invested in infrastructure and it cost a whole bunch of money, but they went ahead and did it anyways, and it like that has tremendous advantages? Like, on one hand of this video, you're talking about how investment in infrastructure is somehow indicative of a bad thing, but that China investing in the infrastructure is possibly already won them the AI arms race. What a fascinating experience I'm having.
The foundation of America's electrical grids were built in the 1960s and 70s, and a lot of the infrastructure is still being used today, well past the end of its intended life cycle. China has industrialized much more recently than we have here in America, so while our grid is barely holding on, they have had the advantage of practically building theirs from scratch with more modern technology. Now, this still hasn't been cheap for them, but since the 1990s, while America's economy has been primarily fueled by consumer spending, China's has grown on exports and construction. According to their national statistics and corroborated by Bloomberg Intelligence, the country spent nearly $2.3 trillion on infrastructure in 2022 alone.
Infrastructure costs a shit ton of money.
Compared to $1.1 trillion worth of spending in the US, spread out over 5 years. This is not to say what China is doing is a good idea either. This kind of spending has put them in a potentially ruinous amount of debt. But the reason this is important for the
debt to who? Money isn't real.
AI discussion is because Chinese grids frequently run with energy reserve margins of 100%, which means it has twice the energy capacity it needs, whereas in America, we operate with margins of just 15% according to the researchers who made this report.
Like, holy shit. I had no idea that this was the case. I'm accepting it because they're showing me an article that indicates that it is the thing. The fact that China has a reserve of 80 to 100% of their electrical capacity is an amazing concept.
That means that AI data centers in China are actually a useful way to soak up extra energy capacity, while the same facilities here in America are a strain on already crumbling infrastructure. The International Energy Agency estimates that data centers accounted for 1.5% of the world's electricity consumption in 2024, and is projected to double by 2030 if current trends continue with AI. If you were to get that out of your outlet at home, 450 terawatt hours spread out over the last 3 years only would have cost you around $18 billion, assuming you were able to negotiate wholesale rates of about $40 per megawatt hour. That's actually not bad, but it's far from the whole story. That's just the cost that the AI...
Alright, unfortunately, we don't get to reach his conclusion. Here's the video in case you want to watch the end of it. Because it's time to get in the van, kids. Oh yeah, no, going all the way back, I leave exactly at 12, Old Lobster, because there are people in this stream who are also members of the James Gang, and if I don't do this, then my numbers go down. And I'm trying to bump them numbers up. We did healthy numbers today for not getting a raid or anything else like that. So, like, I'm just trying to keep the numbers up to the best of my ability without it being a priority. Like, I want people to come here knowing they're not going to miss any of James's content, you know, that kind of thing. I will be back this evening, though. About 6 o'clock. And in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you've forgotten. Always remember, Shoggy loves you, and so do I. Be great.